Hello and welcome to Spirit Touched. We're going to be talking about proper speech. As Christians, aka children of God, we are to be dispensers of the truth, not dispensers of lies. Why? Because lies are corruptible. Matthew 12:33. That's where they come from. The seed, aka the father of lies, and as such they bear corruptible fruit. 1 Peter 1:23. Lies defile the person who tells them, because they come from an unclean heart. 1 Peter 3:4 and Psalm 14:1 says, a warped mind, meaning one that is filled with evil thoughts. That kind of heart is an example of Psalm 53:1. Yes, David got it right. Sin is corrosive because it causes corrosion wherever it goes. Sin also causes corrosive speech. Liars are wolves in sheep's clothing. Matthew 7:17. You can tell them by how they act and what they say. 1 Corinthians 15:33 in the KJV, meaning it's not good manners to lie. Lies are inflammatory, and as this nation saw on 1/6/21, they can cause a firestorm of destructive behavior. There are way too many lies whirling around in this nation. Telling the truth is the only way to put out that firestorm and stop that whirlwind. We can't let lies and liars take control of this nation. It takes people of integrity filled with the power of God's truth. It also requires that we stop polluting and diluting the truth. 2 Corinthians 2:17 and Ephesians 4:22 and verse 29. Look at what Paul tells Pastor Timothy in chapter 6 2b through 5. Liars have turned from the Christian faith, and they will try to get you to do the same. Instead, we should do Jude 10 and the end of verse 9 that tells us to say to those liars, the Lord rebuke you. Look at what God told Isaiah in chapter 1 through 8. To his Israeli children, God raised them and tenderly cared for them, yet they turned away from him. They stopped caring about and following him, causing them to become a sinful nation. That sin brought guilt. Then look what he says about their earthly fathers. Lying caused them to rebel. We need to start listening to the Lord. Liars refuse justice. Jeremiah 5:30 and 31 is a warning, and chapter 6:28b tells us what they are, and verse 29 and 30 says what God will do to them. 1 Corinthians 15:42 in the KJV tells us because of Adam and Eve's sin, our earthly bodies were sown into corruption, which causes them to die and decay. That will not happen to our new heavenly ones. Look closely at verse 50. Woe, like Nehemiah 1:7. It's time to confess to God. Why? because we are the 1 Corinthians 3:16. We need to keep our temple clean. Then look at verses 19 and 20. Confession cleans out our temples, and ours need cleaning out. The saying is true. Confession is good for the heart and the soul. This is why liars are so dangerous. Some have sold their souls to the devil, and they want to sell this nation to him as well. We need to stop them before the sale is final. The only way to stop their campaign of lies is with a campaign of truth. So it's time to rally around the truth. That requires doing some soaking in His mercy and grace. There's a song that talked about how God's love is fierce. So is His truth. Right now, His truth is like a hurricane that we can't escape. It's like a tidal wave running after us, and this nation needs a tsunami of truth, because lies can and will do the very same thing. They are chasing after us, and our only escape is the truth. The question we need to answer is, do we want the avalanche of lies to continue and destroy us, or do we want an avalanche of the truth to redeem us? Lies are a lesser thing. There's a hymn that tells the people of God to rise up and have done with those lesser things. We do that by rising up and telling the truth. If that means we have to start shouting it from the rooftops, then let's start shouting. The truth is our true commander-in-chief. So as his soldiers, it's time to start obeying and following him. There can be no peace without his truth, since he is also the Prince of Peace. Let the voices of peace and truth be heard all over this nation, so that the bells of freedom don't stop ringing. The gospel is our Excalibur sword of truth, so we need to start using it. Telling the truths of God are part of that critical spiritual infrastructure maintenance we need to start doing. So let's start by praying that God will give us the wisdom and strength we need for the task ahead of us. The truth is what holds the church, a family, and a nation together. So let's start telling the truth to hold this nation together under God and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.